Good evening and welcome. My name is Chris Gaines. I'm your host and the producer for tonight's webinar. First of what we hope will be many of these. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day to join us. And I think you're going to be glad you did. We have the founder and CEO of Hydrofin with us tonight. He's going to be answering your questions. So, whatever platform you are streaming in tonight with us, please make sure to let us know if you've got a question, put it in the chat room, and we'll try to get to as many of those as we can tonight. We'll pull them up on the screen and we hope you get your questions answered. Thanks again for taking time to be with us. I'm going to bring Jason up on the stage now. Jason, welcome. It's good to see you, my friend. How are you tonight?
Yeah, sounds good, Chris. Thank you so much.
We're
I'm
looking
doing
forward to
great.
this. It's going to be fun, isn't it?
Ready for Thanksgiving.
Ah, yes. So, do you do any cooking, or is that part of your gig, or do you leave it all up to your family?
You know what? I do actually enjoy barbecuing and doing some stuff like that, but on this occasion, I am not going to do any cooking. We're leaving that out to a bunch of the ladies, and they're going to do an awesome job. They
I
always
think
do
that's
every year.
smart. I think
So
that's
yeah,
smart. I will just say your expertise lies on the water, not necessarily in the kitchen. How about that?
absolutely, that is so true.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, with that, I'm going to give the reins to you. I will be here. I'll be monitoring the chat room. I'll jump in from time to time with questions. If you need anything, I'm just a click away. Okay.
Yep. Okay. Sounds good, Chris. Thank you so much, and thanks everybody for joining today. So really appreciate your time. So what we've got lined up here for today is we're going to talk a little bit about the performance benefits of Hydrofin. If you're on this video today, you probably already understand at a high level kind of who we are, what we do, that kind of thing. But we're going to take it a step further, and I'm going to explain a couple of things. I'm going to show you a little bit within the product. And then after that, we're going to talk a little bit about the future of Hydrofin, some things that we're developing that we're super excited about, and that we'll be releasing in 2024. And then finally, and probably most importantly, we're going to be talking a little bit about the questions that we most frequently get, and we'll be taking your questions. So, think about this video. This is all for you, right? So we want to make sure that we get your questions answered, that you guys understand exactly, will this work for your boat? What the benefits are if you were to purchase a system and put it on your boat. And so really that's what we're going to be going through today. So first of all, let's start out with how does the Hydrofin system work? And I'll kind of, what I'm going to do here, because we've got a mixed audience, we've got folks that have pontoon boats, and then we have other folks who have tri-toons. And so I'm going to have to kind of split the time a little bit and talk about that. But so I'm going to first start off by talking about pontoon boats. And so on my table here, you can't see it, but I'm going to hold it up. But this is the main foil. So when I say foil, think about a wing. It's just like an airplane wing. And as the boat accelerates, it generates lift to the boat, and that lift reduces drag. And of course, as that drag goes away, it makes the boat so much more efficient. It increases the speed, and it also really increases the ride of the boat as well. In fact, that's the number one comment that we get back from customers, is just how much they enjoy how it improves the ride of the boat. And so for pontoon boats, so we'll talk a little bit about, kind of in the Q&A part of it, sorry, what to expect, and will this work for my pontoon boat? Will this work for my tri-toon boat? So what I just showed you there, that is for pontoon boats. Now, let me kind of clarify something here if it's not clear. So there's 4 hydrofoils or wings that go on every boat. There's 2 large foils that go around the center of gravity of the boat, and so that's about under the driver's seat. It's a little bit more than halfway back on the boat. And then there's 2 small foils, and these are mounted at the very back of the boat. All of the foils are mounted on the inside of the log, so they face inwards, so you don't have to worry about them sticking out or there a potential of hitting somebody or anything like that. So they face inward on the boat. And so again, 4 hydrofoils. For tri-toons, if you haven't seen it, so this is the foil that we've got for tri-toons, and kind of just to give you a little bit of glimpse of the shape of it. Now I'm going to show you 2 as and we're not going to get too deep into this because this is really, we've got other videos that talk about all the, detailed features, functions of it, but there are, this is one of the questions I wanted to address. So this goes on the double pontoon boat system, and I'll kind of hold this up. But one of the things that we can do with this is we can change how the foils mount onto the boat. This is one of the plates where the main foils mount to the boat. And as you can see here, it pivots on this plate. And the reason why that's important is because by having that kind of flexibility, it allows you as the end customer to be able to adjust the system really very easily on this. You can see there's a couple of bolts on the back side, and it literally just pivots on this plate, and it locks into some little locking pins there once you tighten those bolts up. But what that does is it allows us or you or the dealer, whoever's doing the install, to adjust that lift, right? Because every boat's speed and weight and size is a little bit different. And so we are able to help address those questions or the performance differences on each one of those boats by doing that. So I'm going to show you one other thing here too. And I've got one of the, so this is the curved plate that mounts to the hull of the boat, okay? So we use, this a very commonly asked question is, how do you attach these plates to the boat? We do not weld it. You can weld it if you choose to, but an easier method to that that you can do yourself is actually glue it on there. This is, I say glue in a light term, but it's a structural adhesive, so it creates a chemical bond which permanently attaches this plate to the boat. Now, if you had to, yes, you could get it off. It's not easy to get it off, but you could get it off. But so basically, we provide this structural adhesive along with all of the other hardware so that you can attach this to the boat. And as you can see here, it's got different installation locations, these holes that are on here, that allow you to, even after you've glued this plate to the boat, let's say that you went out, you did some testing, and you felt like you needed a little bit more lift in the front or the back of the boat. That's why we have these different placements here. It's so that you can easily remove the foils because the plate's already glued on there and move those forwards or backwards. And you would be surprised, but 2 to 4 or 5 inches makes a huge difference in terms of where that lift occurs on the boat. So I just wanted to show you this plate compared to, I'll show you, and this plate is much bigger, but for tri-tunes, this is the plate. So this is for our tri-tune product. This is called the Super Ride XL, this particular product, but you can see it's got a lot more holes on it. It's got more movement to it, but it is a bigger, beefier plate. And we had to reinforce it to be able to carry the loads of tri-tune boats. They're typically faster boats. And so we needed to make sure that structurally it wasn't going to do any damage to the boat and that it would be able to lift the boat, as it needed to. And generally speaking, what we want to do is we want to lift about 40 to 50% of the weight of the boat. So for example, if it's a 3,000 pound boat, we're going to set up the system to lift roughly 1,500 pounds at whatever that boat's top speed is. So it's half of whatever the speed is there. And so we've got lift charts. We'll provide all that stuff to you. But anyway, that's a little bit about the system. So again, 2 systems, one for the pontoons, that's called our Superfly, one for the tri-tunes, and that's the Super Ride XL. And so anyway,
Jason, I just want to jump in a second.
Yeah.
It's looking great, sounding great. We've got a lot of folks in the chat room, questions coming up here. If you'd like me to, I can save those to the end. I can tell you that Jake Miller jumped in and wanted you to know it's the best upgrade that he's done to his pontoon. He's a big fan, wanted to tell you that. Thanks, Jake, so much for letting us know that.
Okay, awesome. I love it. Thank you, Jake. Thanks for being here and thanks for sharing that. That's great to hear. Appreciate that. And thank
Absolutely.
you,
So you're
Chris.
looking good. We've got a little focus issue. That's me. That's on me. Got the autos focus going, but you look great and
Yeah.
sound great. Again, if you just joined us, I know that a lot of people have been joining us. Please put your questions or your comments in the chat, and we will pull those up. And Jason will get to those. We don't want anybody to leave without doing that. Also, want to let you know. He let me know. I think he forgot to mention for just being on tonight. There's going to be a special coupon, a code that you're going to
Yes.
want to write down. So that'll be at the end of the broadcast. But if you do have
Yes.
a friend, a family member, or somebody that needs to hear about this, we are streaming live on YouTube and on Facebook. So
Yeah.
go ahead and spread the word. Is there anything else I can get for you, Jason, or you just hand it back to you?
I think that's good, but please, Chris, yeah, feel free to jump in if I've left something out or if there's questions, comments as
You
we
got
go
it.
through this. Yeah,
All right.
for sure. Yeah, so I did fail to mention that, but so for Black Friday and also for Cyber Monday, really, but for Black Friday, we've got our biggest sale of the year coming up without a doubt. And for being here on this webinar today, for taking the time, we also are going to be offering a promotion code that if you are interested in purchasing, when you go to checkout, you can enter that promotion code and it is going to give you an extra $100 off of the already discounted offer that we've got going on for Black Friday and also for Cyber Monday. So anyway, that's huge. You're only going to get that here by being here. So certainly hope that makes it worth it. And feel free to pass that around if you want to share that with friends or whatever else. And that's absolutely great. So okay, so we've talked a little bit about the products that we've got. We've got again pontoon and tri-tune products. Let's talk a little bit about the future of Hydrofin, where we're going, and just some new and exciting stuff there. So if you've looked at our products, you probably have noticed that for both pontoons as well as for tri-tunes, the foils are fixed, right? So when you install the foil, there's not an ability to adjust it or to raise the foils on the fly. And what I mean by that, or what I'm really referencing here is, think about, trailering your boat, beaching your boat, putting it on a boat lift. Those are very common questions that we get about, well, will the system work in those scenarios? And the answer to that question is, with our current system, it absolutely works. Now, there is a trailer modification that is required. It's super simple. We can talk through that. In fact, we just posted a video on YouTube specifically talking about and showing how we make those trailer modifications. But the new product that we've got coming out here in the middle part of 2024 is a hydraulic, or actually I take that back. It's a mechanical strut that will allow the foils to be raised and lowered by a switch that will be mounted at the helm. And so that's going to be a huge benefit for certain boats. We are still going to sell the current fix system that we've got today because it works so well. But this will be a new addition and an option for you. Of course, there will be added expense both from a product perspective and also from an installation perspective. But it will give you that flexibility if you have concerns about it. And the great thing about it is that even if you were to purchase this system right now, we've already engineered and designed the system that you could then later down the road, when those products are, when this mechanical strut is available, you could purchase that, add it to your boat at that point in time, and it still would allow you to raise and lower the foils. And so we're really excited about that. We've already got the prototype of that product made, and we're just going through the design or the production process of that right now. So I'm anticipating mid part of 2024, but timing could change of that. So stay tuned. We'll start to post more information as we get pictures, videos, all that kind of stuff on YouTube and on our website. We also have a new product coming out, and this is going to be, we've got to come up with a name for this, But what it is it's a hydrofoil that attaches to the skeg of your outboard. And I'm really excited about this because it's going to be such a simple product to install. So imagine this, right? You've got your outboard motor, and below the prop, you've got the skeg that is below that. And so this will be effectively a boot that fits up over the skeg, and with some screws that hold that foil to that skeg. And the foil will be at sort of the bottom part of that skeg. And what that's going to do for our customers is really, it's going to greatly improve the ride control of the boat and the trim of the bow of the boat. So if you want more bow lift and you trim up your motor, this is going to really help with that feature. It's also going to help, I mean, just all over control. It's going to help lift the back of the boat if you need that also, but with handling, turning, all of those kinds of things. So we're really excited about that. It'll be for all power ranges, and it'll be available for use on any kind of outboard or inboard-outboard boat. So that'll be coming up here, probably in the later part of spring, but super excited about that one as well. So Chris, I'll check in with you. We're about to get into the Q&A section of this discussion. Is there anything else that I'm missing before we jump into that? I've got probably a top 5 that I can already anticipate, people are going to want to know about, but I just wanted to check in with you and just make sure that there wasn't anything that
I think you've
popped up on your
covered
side.
everything on our agenda, the hit list. I'm going to try my best to pitch them to you, not in any particular order, maybe in the way they came in.
Okay.
And if we have any duplicates, you just let me know. And again, feel free, those that are still watching, if you want to get that in, or if maybe we don't answer your question completely, or Jason may need a little more information, may even need to take it offline. We'll
Yeah.
be sure we get that to you somehow, but we may
Yeah.
need a little further clarification, and we'll just do our best. So are you ready to
Yeah.
dive in?
Yeah, I'm ready to dive in. I've got Chris. I don't know if you have the top 5 that I'm thinking here in mind. I can run through those unless you've got them.
Yeah, why don't we do that? If you've already got some off the top of your mind, and then I'll try to look and see if they get covered in the comments. We'll go from there. Why don't you go ahead and start then?
Yeah. Okay. Sounds good. So the number one question that we get from customers, it's all around performance expectations, and that is, so the specific question is, what kind of performance can I expect if I was to purchase this system? And so again, we have to kind of break this down into pontoons and tri-toons. So first, I'll start talking about pontoons. And so what I'll tell you is, for pontoons, it's actually really pretty simple. It's really about speed. And so if your boat is already doing right around 20 miles an hour, this is a great candidate for your boat. For most double pontoon boats, we see a minimum of about 6 miles an hour speed improvement, up to 10 and sometimes 11 or 12 miles an hour, but on average it's 6 to 10 miles an hour. And so as long as your boat has got the ability to get you up to 20 miles an hour, that's sort of the takeoff speed, if you will, right? Think about an airplane, and it's got to get to a certain speed to actually carry the plane. This is the same sort of scenario here. So, but for double pontoon boats also, we do have a lot of questions about, log sizes and those kinds of things. So just think about this. If your boat has got, if it's got a round log and a diameter that's really between 22 and 28 inches, we've got plates that fit those boats. So that is not an issue at all. For U-shaped logs, we can make our plates fit those U-shaped logs as well. So the only, on a double pontoon, unless it's some odd shape, an oval shape or something, kind of custom, we're probably not a good fit for those. But I'd say it's 99% of the pontoon boats out there, we've got a really good fit for. So that's for double pontoon boats. So again, don't think about horsepower, don't think about the size of the boat or anything like that. It's about how fast does the boat go, because that's where the takeoff occurs. And we can change the lifting force that's needed for any make and model of boat out there, as long as we get to that speed. So now, the same is true generally speaking, for tri-tunes, although there are a couple of different variations. So, in tri-tunes, we typically see 25, 26, 27-inch logs. We've got the plates for those log sizes. For tri-tunes, the speed is the different, that's sort of the variable. So this really, really works well on boats that currently are traveling between 20 and 40 miles an hour. That's sort of the speed ranges that we've engineered, these foils for. And this is the system for tri-tunes. If your boat is, if it does 45 to 50 miles an hour, what we typically see is it will still work on those boats, but it's not going to generate the same, significant performance improvements that it would if it was, in those lower speed ranges, because it's hard for us to take a boat that's already doing 45 and make it go, 50 or 55 miles an hour. So the sweet spot really is at 20 to 40 mile an hour speed range. Again, log sizes around 25 to 27-inch logs. The only other variable that I will say is, does your boat have lifting strakes, and how big are those lifting strakes? So I'll just kind of explain this one here real quick. So if you're not familiar with lifting strakes, you can go out there, you can Google it, see some pictures. We're going to do some additional videos on this. But basically what a lifting strake is it's an aluminum extrusion that is welded to the hull of the boat. It's under the water line, and it's kind of a triangular piece. And what it does is it helps the boat. It helps the boat get up on plane. And there's large and there's small lifting strakes, and all manufacturers have different sizes and different shapes. If the lifting strakes on your boat are smaller, let's say 3 inches or less, then they're probably, unfortunately, I hate to tell you this, they're probably not doing a whole lot, right? If you have a 5 or 6 inch lifting strake, that's a bigger planing surface for that boat, and so it's going to do more. So that's where it's a little bit difficult to set expectations. So it really kind of depends on how big the lifting strakes, how many there are, where they're located on the boat. But on average, what I will tell you is if you've got a tri-tune that's got, a 115, 150, 200, 250 even, those are most likely fantastic candidates for our product. When you start to see those higher horsepower 300s, 350s and up, those boats are already doing, 45, 50, 60 miles an hour. It's probably just not a good candidate for our product. And so that's the number one question we get is, just around performance expectations for pontoon and tri-tune boats. So let's see here. The next question that we typically get is, where can I get this product installed? And so if you have a double pontoon and you are interested in installing it yourself, it's really not that difficult. We've simplified the installation process significantly. We give you all the measurements, all of the parts, the structural adhesive. We're going to tell you exactly where to install these products on your boat. So it's really not a difficult process. But I get it. Like, if you don't want to do it yourself, I understand that too. And so if you are looking for, if you want the product and you're looking for an installer in your area, first I would say, go to our website. We do have about 10 or 12 installers around the country. And if we don't have one in your area, then give us a call. We are happy to, make phone calls for you to your local area and look for an installer that can actually help you out. So, that's probably the easiest way to handle the installation process. And for tri-tunes, I guess I should have said too, it is more difficult to do the installation for tri-tunes simply because there's not a lot of working space up under your boat. You have to lift the boat off of the trailer to do the install. And so for that reason, unless you've got a boat lift, which or a way to lift the boat off the trailer, then you probably want it professionally installed. So we'll just encourage you, call us up and we can find an installer in your local area. So the next question that I've got, and then Chris, I'm going to turn this over to you for just kind of open mic questions, is what happens if I hit something? How strong are these parts? And so both for our double pontoons and our tri-toons, kind of think of it the same. We have engineered these products for durability and for strength and really to last the lifetime of your boat. They were professionally engineered, and all the structural tests were done on these hydrofoils. And so we really engineered them to be able so that you could use your boat, own and operate it, just like you would in any other situation, even if the foils weren't there. So, we know that you're gonna hit your you're gonna hit your trailer as you're pulling up your boat onto the trailer, and you're gonna kind of bump around on that. That's fine. We understand that there's gonna be certain times when you're gonna hit things in the water that you didn't see. And as long as they're not like it's not like hard grounding, we've had customers report back that they've hit 2x4s, 2x6s, certain, it sounds like pretty significant, sticks and logs and those kinds of things, and damage did not occur. And in fact, we've got customers around the United States in I think 37 countries or so, 37 states now, in 4 different countries. And out of hundreds of installs, we've had less than 5 failures where somebody actually where we had to replace a part for that boat. So the failure rate is less than 0.5%. So very, very low. I wouldn't be worried about hitting things. Like I said, they're very durable. And while we're on that topic, don't worry about it damaging your boat either, because we've built the system so that there are fail points in the sacrificial joints within the system that if you do hit something, it's going to break the foils. It's not going to break or damage your boat. So don't worry about that part of it. And so those are the top questions that we get from customers. It's around performance. It's about, where do I get it installed and what happens if I hit something? So Chris, why don't I turn it over to you and to the questions that we've got from the audience?
Absolutely. Well, we have got a bunch of questions. People have been waiting very patiently to get their questions answered. Would you be surprised if I told you that very little bleed over? Very few of these, if any, I think you've touched on.
Okay.
So we're ready to dive in. Okay. All right. Sounds great. Well, let's start off with Bruce. Bruce wants to know, let me see, is this coming up on the screen yet? You got it? Let me see here. There we go.
Okay, yeah. So Bruce, I've got a JC manufacturing tri-toon. How would that work on my boat? So we may have answered some of your questions, Bruce. So again, it kind of depends on how really, how fast is your boat? That's probably the first question that I would ask you. As long as if you're under that 40-mile-an-hour mark, which JC pontoons are typically pretty fast boats. So it really depends on how fast that boat, what kind of horsepower you've got. If you're in that 40 to 45 mile an hour range, absolutely, let's talk about that. If you're under that, it's most likely a no-brainer. It kind of depends on the lifting strokes, as we had mentioned as well. But certainly, I would encourage you, call us directly or email, text me, and we'll provide all that information coming up here too, so that you can reach out. I hope I answered that question.
Yeah, if not, please let us know. So Bruce comes in and says, how much of a trailer or lift needs to be cut away to accommodate a hydrofin?
Okay. Yeah, sounds good. Bruce, different Bruce. Great question.
Yes.
So what we do, and we just recently created a new video that's out on YouTube, so I would encourage you, and by the way, haven't said this yet, but Chris and I are working on an entire series of educational videos to show you guys exactly, how we do these installs and, how to accelerate the process and make sure you get it done right. But to answer your question, Bruce, so it's not a big deal. So a pontoon boat, it sits on the trailer on some 2x4 or 2x6 running boards. That's where the boat's sitting. Same is true for a tri-toon. And so we just need to make space enough for these hydrofoils, right? And so what we do is we would actually recommend that you cut about a 3-foot section out of the trailer or the boat lift in the location where the hydrofoils are going to mount. Again, we're going to tell you where to put that on your boat. And that's going to give you the ability to just pull your boat, up on your trailer, launch, load it, all those kinds of things. A lot of people don't think about the fact that, when you pull your boat, when you're launching your boat, your trailer is going down the hill, or the ramp, I should say. And so your boat naturally floats and separates up away from that trailer. And the gap and the distance that between the bottom of the bunk and the foils, it's only about this much. And so, it really doesn't take a lot to separate those two for you to pull it on or off the trailer or the lift. So, but good question. We get it all the time.
All right. Kent from Arkansas wants to know, what has been the experience with the adhesive that holds the fin plates on the pontoon tubes?
Yeah. So, Kent, great question. So this stuff it's really pretty amazing. So I will tell you guys, when I first started out, I learned about this structural adhesive. I had the exact same doubts and sort of, just questions that you guys did, like, how real is this? It's a glue. Is it going to work? There's all sorts of chemicals in the water. I leave my boat in the water. I mean, there's all kinds of reasons that could cause failures for this. But I can honestly say that, this product is really, really amazing. Now, you do have to do the right surface prep, and it's not a big deal. All you have to do is if basically grind off any oxidation or wear on your boat. It depends on if it's a new boat or it's a little bit older boat or whatever. But do the right surface preparation, and after you kind of grind it or sand it off, then wipe it down with acetone or alcohol and rubbing alcohol, and clean that surface. If you do those two things, this product, like I said before, I don't expect any failures, and we will, assuming you've gone through the right process, we will warranty the fact that if you show us pictures that this stuff is not going to fail. Like I said, hundreds and hundreds of these things out there, and just literally less than a handful of failures, and those weren't even on the glue part. So
Okay.
it's good stuff.
Good. All right. We're getting a little bit of noise from your mic. Hopefully it'll hold up, but
Okay.
if not, we'll ditch that.
Yep.
Mike Rollins wants to know, I think you may have addressed this earlier. Can the fins be adjusted forward and backwards to attach
Yeah.
angles after mounting it? I think you touched on that a little bit, didn't you?
Yeah, we talked about it just a little bit, but I'll show you on this plate. So what happens here is, so basically the foil's attached to this. So first of all, the plate is glued to the boat. The foil's attached to this secondary plate, which then is screwed to this plate here, and so it can be moved forwards or backwards on the plate as needed. And so that's kind of how this works. So yeah, you can make those adjustments. For double pontoon boats, I think the full adjustment range is about 8 inches, and for tri-toons, it's about 10 inches. So we added a little bit more to it there.
Great. All right. Jim wants to know, have there been any reported issues of floor beam cracking or failure due to the concentrated loading area, kind of from the foil, the forward foils?
Yeah, makes sense. And the answer to that question is no, not one. Out of the hundreds of installs that we've had, the majority of the lifting force and the weight is put on the plates and on the hull. And like I said, so these plates here are 3/16 aluminum. So I don't know if you probably can't get really a sense for that. The other plates are 3/8 of an inch. And so they were all structurally engineered specifically for any pontoon boat. So it's spreading that load across the hull more than it is on the deck. It does go up on the deck a little bit on double pontoons. On tri-toons, 100% of it's on the hull.
Okay, how about, my boat has a tapered front end. It goes into weather really good, but down when that, I guess downwind, is that what you said? That good? Does that make sense to you? The boat has a tapered front end. It goes to weather really good, but not downwind.
So yeah. So we might need to talk. I'm not fully sure what the question is there. I think it's like if you're going, head into the seas, it sounds like your boat performs a little bit different than if you're going downwind on it. With the system, you don't have to worry about that. I mean, it's gonna, we're lifting the whole boat up. So whether you're going up, down, sideways, whatever else, it should help solve those problems. But maybe let's talk about that one a little bit more.
All right, good. Ken wants to know a little bit about the competition. Can you speak a little bit to comparing and contrasting the Hydrofin product, maybe anything else on the market that might be similar?
Yeah, I for sure will. So what I will tell you is that this is a patented product. There is one other competitor out there, and I mean, not say it lightly, but I think he's trying to copy our stuff. But there are some technical differences that I will tell you about that make our product perform better. And that's, at the end of the day, that's what you care about, right? And so the number one thing, so when we went through this, we hired this company, Morelli and Belvin. So you've probably seen, this product. And so these guys, look them up. I encourage you, look them up. They're awesome. They are arguably some of the best foil designers in the world. And so they are our design partners. I don't know who our competition uses, but the reason why I bring that up is because we spent a good 4 months or so just going through the design process, talking about, how this works, what are the best shapes, how does this need to be installed, all of those kinds of things. And one of the probably the biggest unique difference that we have in our product that the other company, our competition, does not, is when we install our foils, we install them very intentionally at a downward angle. So whether it's for pontoons or tri-toons, it's not flat, right? The hydrofoil does not mount just flat across the water surface. It mounts at an angle, and what that does for you and for the boat is it mimics a V-hull. It helps that boat actually lean into the turns compared to with a traditional pontoon boat or catamaran style boat. It's gonna turn flat or potentially lean on the outside. Now, tri-toons don't as much, but these foils are very intentional in how they're shaped. And so I would say, probably from a competitive perspective, we've done load engineering, all the testing on that. We've got way more customers than what they do, and we've intentionally designed it with those shapes to really make sure you get the best performance on the product. So.
All right, Captain Chuck has chimed in. He wants to know, how much weight does this kit add to the pontoon itself?
About 80 pounds total. So 4 foils, all the hardware, everything, it's 80 pounds in total. And I guess to further answer that question, or it's not part of the question, but the lifting force that you would expect on your average boat is going to be about 1,500 pounds. So we're adding 80 pounds, and we're lifting about 1,500 pounds at 30 miles an hour. So it's pretty huge what these foils can do.
Awesome. Follow up from Mike, wanted to know, obviously only for Notion kits. Does that mean something to you? I don't know if it's a typo, or maybe we need a little more information from Mike.
Yeah, maybe a typo. I'm not sure what
We'll have
that.
to, Mike, if you could give us a little more information on that, we'll try to come back around to that one. Okay.
Yeah, let's do that.
All right. Bruce is coming back with, the majority of the boats sold today are tri-toon. They have lifting strikes. How does this compare to the lifting strikes?
Yeah. Okay. So for lifting strikes, again, it kind of, they do different things. There's a lot of variables. This is where it's a little bit harder to answer this broadly across, all boats, makes, models, that kind of thing. So it really depends on how many lifting strikes you've got, where they're located on the boat. But what I will tell you about lifting strakes, what I've learned firsthand by riding on, hundreds and hundreds of boats. I've been a boater my whole life. A lifting strake, this is kind of apples and oranges, right? A lifting strake is a planing surface. That's what it is, right? It's something they put on the bottom of the boat that's a flat surface that helps the boat get up on plane and ride on that flat surface. And so it does it does an okay job of that if they're big enough. But if you think about it, what it also does is every wave that hits that flat surface it causes kind of a pounding effect, right? And so they can do okay for lifting, but they do cause sort of that beating effect compared to, our foils are lifting the boat. They're completely under the water. They're lifting the boat out of the water. We're trying to get the front half of the boat completely out of the water and keeping the back half of the water safely in the water so that, you're not feeling the waves hardly at all, because where they're hitting the hull of the boat is so far back on it. So they're kind of apples and oranges. It is a hard question to answer because, again, all lifting strakes are different sizes and shapes and whatever else. But if if they're the smaller ones, 3 inches or so or less, they're not doing much. This system is going to do a lot more for you.
Okay, Mike chimed back in. I don't know if this is a follow-up on what we were confused
Oh
on. I
yeah,
don't know if this helps you. Does this help you at all? New adjustable units coming out mid-24 only for Bitunes. Does that relate to the other?
Okay, mix and match the accessories together for tri-tunes, bitunes. We don't. There's not a purpose or a reason that we would do that. These are all engineered specifically for those boats. We do get this question actually a fair amount, or like, could I just put could I put this little rear foil? Could I just install this on my boat? And we've done that a couple of times, and it added a little bit of performance gain, a couple of miles an hour, but to really do it right and get the true performance gains you're looking for, you pick either we pick the right system or the right kit for the boat. So typically you would mix and match.
Gotcha. All right, Chris comes in with a bit of a lengthy question. I don't know if you're able to read it on your end, but I'm gonna try to read it from here. The beds on my 18-foot trailer pontoon are one piece and with 3 brackets per side. I'm wondering if I could get the clearance needed for this by stacking 2 more. Is this ringing a bell for you? I'm gonna let you take it
Yeah,
from here.
totally. Yeah, Chris, I totally understand the question. Yeah, you can certainly do that. It's not a problem. Yeah, so basically what he's talking about there for the rest of the folks, you've got your bunks that your boat sits on, and what he's talking about here, we've done this in the past to get a little bit more elevation so that your boat sits a little higher on the trailer, is adding another layer of 2x4s on top of the existing 2x4s, and that is a way to do this for sure. One thing I didn't say, I'll go ahead and bring it up here, but if you are concerned about the depth of the foils, I haven't even mentioned that yet, but the tip of the foil. So this foil is going to be at a downward angle. This is going to be deeper. This is the bottom of the foil. It's going to be a little bit deeper, about 4 to 5 inches, and then there's a strut that mounts here and goes up to the deck of the boat. Well, this strut that goes up and down, if you, for any reason at all, are not comfortable with how deep that foil is, the strut is a hollow extrusion. It's a piece of aluminum. You cut it off on the top so that it flattens out or lessens the angle of this foil here. In other words, so it's not so deep on the trailer, and you can do that easily, and that's probably the better solution for you. And a lot of people just don't know that, so that's probably what I would do there.
Good stuff. Okay, Kent wants to know, do you find the need for a prop change to maximize the benefit of the foil addition?
Yeah, great question. So I would say on about probably 30% of the installations that we do, we see customers changing props, and the reason why they change them is because if your boat is already, I'll just tell you this, right? If you're already running at the top of your rev limiter on your motor, you're going to want to change props, because by adding this system, you're going to be adding speed, and you're going to be turning potentially more RPMs at those speeds. And so because of that, you're going to want to change props. You're going to maybe want to go up in one pitch, go from a 13 to a 15 or whatever else it is. And so yeah, that does affect it, but it's not in all cases. So look at your RPMs. Maybe you already know what you're running, wide open throttle on that, and that will tell you if you're well under your RPM range, you're good to go. You don't have to change props. If you're already at your rev limiter, you probably will.
Awesome. I may be having a little bit of a camera problem, but I can hear you great. Everybody can hear you great, and that's all that's really important. We've got several people that said, tri-tunes, give me a tri-tune. So we got lots of votes for that, and that's duly noted. some other folks just chiming in, just saying some very kind things. Preston says Hydrofin is hands down going to be your best option. Highly recommended.
Sweet.
Gabby says,
Thank you, Chris.
love this business. Such a cool product. Great results.
Sweet. Thank
All
you.
these folks. Karin, thank you so much. I want one of these for our tri-tunes. So loud and clear. We definitely want the tri-tunes.
All right.
Let me see if I've got any other people that came in there at the end. Oh, I got one here. Bruce had one more question. Are the XL foils available right now?
Yes, they are. So we've got both products in stock for pontoons and tri-tunes. I think we're good there. I think we're good.
Motor height in water need to be changed?
You shouldn't need to change the height of your motor. That's something that, again, it kind of depends on cavitation. If your motor's already cavitating, I'd probably recommend that anyway. That's going to help minimize some of that cavitation, get the prop deeper in the water. But otherwise, no, customers don't. They change the prop before they change the motor height typically.
All right, that's pretty much does it for our questions. Some great questions. Thank you so much for your feedback. Jason, I'm going to let you wind this down. Now, do not forget, we got people waiting on their coupon code, so I'm ready to pull it up when the time comes.
Yeah, let's go ahead and pull it up, Chris. So as I mentioned, when we started out, we've got the biggest sales of the year going on right now for our Black Friday. And so the coupon code, so on top of what we've already got advertised on our Black Friday sale, just for being at this event, it's another $100 off. The coupon code, it's BF as in Black Friday 2023. It's on the screen here, as you can see. That applies to either our product for pontoons or tri-tunes. So I would encourage you, go out and take advantage. I promise you're not going to see, another price point this time of year or any time of the year. But if you do have other questions, you can give me a call directly. And so or you can email me too. My email, it's jason@shophydrofin.com. Again, jason@shophydrofin.com. And we're grateful that you're here. Y'all have a very, very happy Thanksgiving, Merry Christmas, and look forward to talking to you again soon. Thanks, everybody.